Today we will continue with exploring the role-playing dimension. So what is a role-playing dimension? A same dimension that plays a multiple role. So in this case, I'm talking about the calendar dimension. The calendar dimension here, in this case, we have linked the calendar dimensions, the date column with order date column in our sales underscore W04 table. And also, if I want to create one more relationship between the date column in my calendar table to shipped date, it will become an inactive relationship. That is what we have seen it in the last session. We can create only one active active relationship between a table at a time. We cannot create more than one active relationship between a table. You can create more than one relationship, but active relationship you cannot create it. That is one of the downside downside of it with active relationship. So instead what you can do is you can duplicate this table, and then what you do is you can create a link between this date table of this calendar table to the order date with this table, so that you can filter the date column from your calendar table to your order date in the sales W04 table, so that you can generate or produce a report like sales by order date. And what if I wanted to see a report which shows sales by shipped date? So in that case, I'll have to create a relationship between the date table and order date table. But if I create additional relationship between date to ship date in this table, what will happen is the newly created relationship will become inactive, because already we have one active relationship, right? So this is the one, date and order date as an active relationship. But if I create additional relationship, it is possible to create it. But the challenge here is, you cannot, have two active relationship at a time. But we have seen how to overcome that limitation by using DAX function called use relationship, using which you can temporarily activate the inactive relationship till the completion of the calculation. That is one way of addressing that limitation. Okay, to propagate the values via your inactive relationship, it is possible with DAX function. The other option is the role-playing dimension. What is a role-playing dimension? As I told you, the single dimension can play multiple role. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this table also, since it was hanging in the last session. I just remove this. So I'm going to create. So already I have a calendar table. Look here, I have a calendar table. I just go to the data view and let us check the data first. It is always a good idea all the time. You just check the data at an high level, or in each table, whatever you loaded it at an high level. Okay, but if I look at it here, there is a mistake here, right? So instead of selecting the sales underscore W04, I have selected fact sales here. So in the calendar function, I have used two arguments, start and end. The syntax is start date, comma, end date. In the place of start date, I have given the minimum order date. So the date from order date column, I wanted to use it, but the order date columns are correct, but the table names are different here. There is a mistake here. There was a oversight here. Mistakenly, I typed fact sales. Actually, it was supposed to be sales W04. So I'm going to correct the mistake. And good that Tulasi, the participant, right? She was the one able to find out this issue. So in real time scenario, you might tend to make these kind of mistakes. That's the reason why you need to be very, very cautious. I just press enter. Now it'll change the date, the start date, the minimum order date, the least order date. Okay. The very first order date. So January 1st, 2011, the first order we received it. And the last one is your recent order date. Fine. So with calendar function, I was able to sequentially generate the dates from 1st January to till the maximum order date. Okay. Because in the calendar table or the date dimension, the date column should have the value sequentially it gets stored. Whether you have sale on 8th January or 5th January or in some days in between the minimum order date to maximum order date. Right? So still, if you want to perform any time intelligence or times is related calculations, then in the date column should have the values starting from the minimum order date to till the and the maximum order date, right? So here 1st January to all the dates should be stored here between these two dates. Okay. And you should not have any duplicate values in it. You should not have any missing values in it. This is the rule. Okay. Fine. So with this, once you are able to create the date column, the next steps are very simple. You can use a year function to extract year from this column, and you can extract month from this column. Using month function, you can extract it using quarter function. All these are DAX function and time intelligence related functions. And we have format function. Using format function, you can extract the month in text format. The two, I don't want to display the entire month name. Instead, first three letters of the month name, that is enough for me. So you can use this one. Okay, this is a pretty simple table. Okay, the next one is I just want to create another table. This is the one I used it to, the calendar table, I used it to filter the sales table by order date, right? So that is what I did it. Now I need to have another table. So I'm going to have the copy of this table. Okay, so what is this table name? The table name is calendar. Look here, this is our calendar. And I'm going to click on the new table. In the data view itself, we can create it. So here I'm going to say, give some ship date calendar, something like that. Give some meaningful name. And here all function, all is an important function that is available in DAX. In this case, I'm going to use all function to copy the entire tables data, the calendar tables data, and duplicate it. Okay, I just want to copy the entire calendar table data and create a new table with the name of ship date calendar. The ship date calendar table is nothing but a duplicate of your calendar table here. Okay, I'm done with this. I'm able to create the ship date calendar. Look here on the right side, you can see that the ship date calendar table got created. It is a duplicate of my calendar table. Next, I just go to the model view. Okay, in the model view, I'm going to use the newly created table. Look here, there is no relationship between this table and sales W04 table. Forget about other tables. You don't have to worry about that. Okay, and here, in this case, I'm going to use the date column and the ship date column. I'm going to link these two. It got linked successfully now. So one-to-many relationship. And here also we have one-to-many relationship. I just go back to the canvas view. Here what I am going to do is I just select this table. In this table, I just select the year. Okay, and now I just refresh this one and look here. So here in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the quarter here, and the sales is coming from which table? It is coming. If you keep the cursor over this column name, it shows sum of sales W04 sales. Very good, right? So it shows the sales by order date. Now I'm going to use this another visual. In this visual, what I am going to do is I'm going to select the sales from this table. This sales is coming from some of sales W04. And here I have created the ship date calendar. Remember, I just used all function and I create a duplicate of that one. So now I just go and drag and drop this one here. Yes. Now I just move this up. Okay. So you can see that in quarter one, so there are some blank values. You can ignore it. I will explain it later. And there is a difference between these two values. In quarter one, we have 1,774,000. K and 2,552 here. These two values are not same. As explained you all in the last session. Okay, let me do one thing. There is a problem here. Let me just check. Why are we getting this duplicate? All calendar. Okay, because of this one, because the ship date column, I linked it, the date column with ship date column. Let me just go and check it one more time here. And here the date column, and I'm going to expand the properties. If I scroll down, you can see the general date is there, whereas here the format, the ship date is in different format, long date. I'm going to fix this now, and here I just click on the date column. So I just make it consistent, the format type, long date. So it takes to apply these changes because I converted the format. Because of the format also, it may not be able to link it correctly. So even after that, it is not doing good job. Let me just remove this one. And the ship date calendar, I just created it. I just drag and drop this one here, and I'm going to pull the state column sales from this one. Still I can see 1317.99, somewhere some gap is there, and the date is not matching correctly here, because here I have used the max of order date, right? So here I have used the max of order date, but in the case of ship date, may not be same as order date, right? The ship date is later than the order date sometimes, some cases, right? Because of which also it might show some kind of gap here. Let us not worry about that now. Okay, and at this moment you just think this, this table is showing sales by order date, this table is showing sales by shipped date. What is the difference between sales by order date and shipped date? What exactly the difference? The difference, as I explained you in the last session, not necessarily all the customer has to make the payment on the date when they order, make an order, right? So sometimes what will happen is, today, let's I raised an order yesterday, and today only I received the product, whatever I ordered yesterday, it got shipped today to me. So my order was, the delivery mode was pay on delivery. Yesterday I raised the order. Today only I raised the ship. Today only it got shipped the product to me. Hence I made the payment today. Okay. So in that case, on the shipped date, right? So what is the sales? There are some orders we receive money on the shipped date only. There are some orders we receive this payment on the same day itself, right? On the same day when they raise the order. So that is the difference between this. So that's the reason why we can see some kind of difference. Even if you add 1,317 with this one, right? And here you can see there is a significant difference. Here 2 and 2,552, but here 478, 3,863, and here 3,846 is there, right? There is a difference. But if you look at the overall total, it is same, because I'm using these data for the 4 years. If you look at this data set, we have 4 years worth of data is there in it. So in this case, in simple term, using in this case, the same dimension plays multiple role, right? This the same dimension which plays multiple role, which means I just copied this dimension. The ship date calendar is a duplicate of this calendar table, and with this table, with this new copied or duplicated table, I'm able to create active relationship between the date column and the shipped date column. Here, date column with order date, I'm able to create the active relationship. We can see two active relationship. But if I don't use this table, what will happen? Still, you can create more than one relationship between the tables, but at a time you can have only one active relationship. If you create additional relationship between these two tables, that relationship will become inactive. In that case, you are supposed to use a DAX function. That is what we discussed yesterday. And you just go through my yesterday's video, and that will help you to understand how to use the DAX function. We have explored use relationship function, the DAX function yesterday. Okay. And today we have, and also we have explored all function. All is also a DAX function. month, date, year, these are all also related to DAX functions. Okay, so we learned couple of DAX functions as part of this Power Query training itself, right? So Power Query editor. Okay, so these are all sorry, data modeling part itself, you learned everything. So now you understood what is role-playing dimension. Using role-playing dimension, we can duplicate the tables, the same dimension. In this case, the calendar played a different role. Here it played the sales by order date. With the help of this one, we can do it. With the help of this table, the same calendar table, we are able to connect the relationship between the date and ship date. With the help of this one, we are able to create two active relationship, because the active relationship propagate the values from your lookup table. I call this also as a lookup table, guys. In the intro, they'll ask you lookup table. Lookup tables are nothing but your dimension tables. The lookup table also called as the dimension tables. Remember that from the data warehouse point of view, we use the term dimension table. For example, calendar is a dimension table. In real time scenario, once you get into a project, so you might see this table name in practice. They use a dim date, dimension date. So all the dimensions will table will start with dim date. For example, you have a product lookup table. It is called as a dim product, dim category, or some cases they use dim underscore date, something like that. Okay, and don't panic. What is lookup table? What is dimension table? Both of them are same, but the in practice, the standard way of calling the tables is dimension tables. Calendar dimension table, ship date calendar dimension table. This is a fact table because it's a transaction table, remember this. So they used to call it a sales fact or fact sales, something like that. Since I already used another data set to name it as a sales fact, right, I just left it as it is. But in real time scenario, in the real life project, they will use more meaningful name. So for this, probably they will use fact sales table. You can have more than one table, fact table also in a dimensional model. It is also called as a dimensional model because this is a fact table. It is surrounded by dimension tables. Okay, look here. This is the classic example. The dim product category and sales fact, right? This is a fact table that is surrounded by dimension tables. Hence, it is called as a star schema. They'll ask you what is star schema. The fact table is surrounded by dimension tables are called your star schema. And what is this? Again, every answer of yours will lead to another question. If you say, okay, a fact table is surrounded by dimension tables are called star schema, and because it looks like a star. Okay, and okay, what is dimension table? They'll ask you the next question. The dimension tables will hold the combination of the surrogate key, which is nothing but the primary key, surrogate key, along with the descriptive information about your facts. The fact tables will have the combination of the dimension keys and the facts. What is fact? Fact is nothing but the numerical values. Okay, and the dimension keys are cat ID. Look here, all the cat ID. And if you have product table, product ID, and look, I think here we have product ID and sorry, customer ID. Let's say you have a customer dimension table. The customer dimension table, the primary key column, which is nothing but the surrogate key is customer ID. Customer ID and customer ID you create, you link it. But you will not have the customer name, product name, category name. All those information are available in this table. So once you create the relationship between, for example, in this case, the product ID and the product ID. Look here, if you hover the cursor on top of this, you can see that product ID and product ID got linked between these tables, right? The common column is product ID. But the product name, you can find it in this table only. So you do a lookup from your fact table into this dimension product to get the product name. We don't store the product name here. We don't store the customer name here. We don't store the category name here. So actually, this is not a star schema. It is a snowflake schema because here the product dimension table itself got normalized. Usually, we will have the combination of these two tables, something like dim product category. So in this table itself, we will maintain category and all. So we will take a look at how to do data normalization or denormalization. Okay, sorry, not normalization, how to do denormalization in the next session. Don't worry. At this moment, you just think, with this simple example, you just think this is a star schema. Okay, and you don't have to worry about the snowflake. This is snowflake schema. Okay, don't worry about it. But simple term, the fact table will have the combination of all the dimension tables, key column, and then the facts. Facts are nothing but your profit and sales, quantity. The numeric values or numeric variables are called your facts. Along with the facts, you will have the keys from various dimension tables. Got it? That is what your fact tables. Anyhow, I just want to digress in order to help you to refresh your memory. What is all these things terms? Okay, fine. So now I'm done with the role playing dimension. The same dimension played multiple role. I just simply duplicated this dimension. With this dimension, able to filter the sales W04 table with the order date column. With this table, I'm able to filter the ship date column. Hence, I'm able to produce these two different types of reports. But you cannot combine these two values together. But if you have used the inactive relationship, right, between the date and shipped date, you can activate it temporarily using use relationship function. In that case, you will have to create a separate measure. That measure you need to drag and drop it so that you can compare both the values side by side in a single visual. So this is a table visual. How do I know that it is a table visual? The moment when you click on this visual, on the right side under the visualization pane, you can find the table visual got highlighted. Okay, and if I want to change this visual from table to matrix or one visual to another visual, simply select the other visual. So I just clicked on it. Now it became a matrix visual. That's all. Not much difference, but matrix visual is more robust than the table visual, which we will look at it as part of data visualization. Fine. Okay, let me just. Okay, now you understood how we can use playing dimension. But now the question is, in this case, we have two columns like order date and ship date, which I have another column called due date. And if I have 4 or 5 date columns are there in this table, and if I want to do a filtering, in that case, do I need to duplicate this table 4 times or 5 times? Yes, if you want to use a role-playing dimension, you can use it. So don't you think in that case, the number of tables will get spiked up? Yes, the number of dimension tables will get spiked up. And in that case, you need to take a call, whether you want to use the DAX function itself, inactive function, right? So why to create so many tables? It's a maintenance overhead. And other thing is like these tables are not huge data in it. The calendar maximum, let's say even 5 year sales data, you have it in your order transaction table. So in that case, 5 into 365, let's say 5 into 400 roughly, right? So 2000, it will not be more than 2000 records. Hence you can have it. But if you have more number of date columns, then it is a overkill. So you can, if you have less number of tables, less number of date columns, you can have the duplicate of this one. But the one disadvantage is we cannot combine these two things. In that case, better you can go for the inactive relationship. You can create more than one relationship between. Have a single table, create more. But if somebody is asking in the interview, you should be knowing what is role playing dimension. Okay. The only one advantage is you can have active relationship, right? If you have more than one, if you have the duplicate of the same table on the dimension table, it plays a multiple role. So in that case, you can create directly the active. You don't have to use the DAX function in that case. Fine. The next, we will take a look at the data visualization part. Today we will continue. So next we will jump into the important topic, the data visualization in Power BI.